Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming. This is for Season 81, 5 versus 5 Grand Arena Championship, Week 3. It is the wrap up. We are live here on Twitch and YouTube. I am joined by most of the regular staff. Dagger's going to be coming in, I think, just a little bit late, but I do have TJ, Fatal, and Sasha Aisha with us. Gentlemen, so I had 3 real fights in the whole season. 2 of them were in week 1, and then just here in week 3, one with Sasha. So I got one real match here in the last 2 weeks, and pleasant enough to win. Would just love to have any number more of those than 0. That is the story of my week 3. How about you, TJ? What was week 3 like for you?
But I'd make it short and sweet. This is a 1 and 2, two great matches that I lost to, but it was good. Tom Ford being one of them. Overall season 7-2.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, not that it means a whole lot when 5 of the matchups were Rhodiums, but yes, as a matter of record, I am 8-1. Be impressed. Over to you, Sasha. How was the season for you?
It ended on an extremely fun note. I had a couple real matches this week, which was fun. A great match against Nira that I won, and then just a ton of fun playing you on my way back from vacation, and even taking the L in that match, which was it was certainly a highlight of the season, and it's just a good reminder of why I play the game. It was a match I went into having thought a bit about my defense, like when I was coming home. I hadn't really like thought through to what the heck am I going to do on offense, and that definitely bit me, but it in a really good way, where like I kind of just opened up your board and said, "Wow, that's formidable," and I can't recall exactly what I have reserved, and that was such a fun exercise. So, yeah, for the season, technically 8-1, but realistically, like I don't know, what was it like? I think 4, maybe 3 real matches. I think something like that. But yeah, really fun end to it. So that was mine.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, can't wait to talk more about that match. It was a lot of fun. And of course, last but never least, over to you, Fatal. How was week 3?
Went pretty much as planned. I wanted the season to hover around top 50 given the Erodium crisis, so I wanted the season to be about 5-4. Seemed like a reasonable hover place to be, so yeah, I needed a 3 over this week, and that's what happened. I did have an interesting experience for match 3, though, running into what appears to be a potential rising star that at least I hadn't really seen before.
Oh, yeah?
Uh, Seems like a pretty young player. Like pretty much all of his units are R7.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but he is an efficiency player. And when I say an efficiency player, I don't mean the lazy bad ones. I mean he's a fucking efficiency player. He will 68 most of your shit. And that I had slipped away from my anti-cheeser stuff over the course of the season back towards like, I had Queen on defense, I had Saw on defense, I had Trey on defense, like, all the comfort tools that I've been working on. And here's this guy who had like, again, the majority of his roster is like Relic 7 or lower. Doesn't have Kiadi Mundi, fucking anything. And I took one look at the board and I was just like, oh, I can't win this. Like, this is genuinely just an unlosable board, or an unwinnable board state if he plays well. And the final score was 1952 to 1952. He had a drop. And I won on GP tiebreaker.
Wow.
Seemingly, it's from... I've been chatting with him a bit. It seems like my Queen Amidala, I figured if she didn't directly cause the drop, but I figured she was exerting enough pressure that it seems like she, created the drop elsewhere from him having to divert a team. So, the one flaw that I thought that I had did end up being a flaw. But yeah, man, it's I've been talking about undersizing, inefficiency, and all that stuff for the longest time. And I've been working on it, but I haven't been like studios or whatever. And this felt like the first taste of like, oh, Thanos is coming. Like, no, this shit's very real. And if you don't get your shit together, it's gonna fuck me up because, yeah, man, as a heavy defense poster, again, very small account, very young account. There would have been nothing I could have done. Like, he would have just crushed me easily. So I think that's very interesting.
All right. Well, yeah, that was a hell of a match. I did catch the very tail end of that, so cool to see.
It was stressful.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Let's see. Is Dagger joined us yet? Nope. All right, let's move right in to our first segment. Guys, season overview. The meta was fun. I mean, I had very limited sample size to work with, but I enjoyed the trades that the forks that I got to set up against people. There generally wasn't like any one super team like we've had in recent 5 vs 5 metas. Like, I guess you would call the current Stranger Lumi as close as you might get to such a thing because it has fairly few counters. But the season was really about setting up good forks for just folks still wanting to set an adequate defense, honestly. So it was rare. Like, I fought a couple Phantoms Menace guys and they set, a few lighter teams, but a real board with real challenges that I could have dropped on. And I appreciate that because that made the space for me to play the way I like to. That's it, though. I mean, aside from that, CG fix your game. Crazy that I have like five matches this season. Who's next? What do you guys got to say? How do you feel about the season overall?
Personally, for me, as long as I'm coming through okay, I thought it was all right. I created good questions, I feel like, and got to play. I'm gonna call it real players because we were okay. If you got a drop, I was getting a drop. We were gonna bleed some and play a real game of GAC instead of, do I have to finically piece together 68, 69s or whatever it's going to be for numbers. So that part of the game was fun for me, being able to play that again. Creating the questions, the first 2 weeks were awesome, man. Week 3 really kicked me in the butt because it came me to a point where I didn't want to play the game the way I would want to play it, and that's who I was having to face.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
For me, it was bizarre because my first 2 weeks were just a lot of test streams. Like, I very much just like, I basically never had to learn how to play this season because I wasn't trying to win most matches. And so it was like, yeah, especially coming into this last match, it was just like pop quiz final exam. I was like, oh shit, I am not ready for this at all. I don't have a strong opinion on anything. Fuck. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much experience on this season. I feel like I just kind of drifted through it without like really engaging with it at all. I will say though, yeah, picked up some cool new stuff along the way that, like, combined with where the next 5v5 season is going, I think it could still be like a pretty cool season next 5v5. New crown spending, I guess.
Yeah, for my
good.
part,
Yeah.
honestly, a pretty similar experience to Fatal, like that final, like underprepared for a final exam metaphor is a really good one because I just had not really been as actively engaged through the season. It was until really just towards the end here, but I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the process of like maybe puzzles that were more broadly solved in the community. I hadn't been part of that puzzle solving process, so I was late in the game, but experiencing the joy of trying to solve some of that stuff myself. So that was nice. I also appreciated the choices that the meta seemed to enable, and that there weren't, like you mentioned, tasks, those sort of clear, like so singularly outstanding defenses that like, okay, well, I really am probably doing as much as this may be a predictable choice, I might do myself a disservice by not at least putting it on the board. So I've got to do that. And then you get a ton of people optimizing for that and you get highly predictable behavior. It did not feel like the meta was suffering for that. that was pretty cool. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, by the way, Dagger just joined us, and Dagger just resubscribed here on Twitch for a total of 42 months running. Welcome, Dagger. Glad you could join us. You're only a little behind the ball. We've got room for you though. Let's talk about how was your week 3, and then we were just talking about the season overview.
I went 2-1, and I really liked the analogy that Sasha repeated of Fatal, where I felt underprepared for an exam. I felt that way all season. Never felt like I got on top of the season. Always felt a half step behind. I believe I went 6-3 on the season. Yeah, I think I went 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. And most of my losses boiled down to my own inadequacies paired with my opponent's ability to put up an 1850 plus.
Brutal. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was 5v5 is fun for the reasons of it feels more swugga than the alternative, but the board situation was just so fucking bad this season.
You know, I see where you're coming from, but I gotta disagree on it. 3 versus 3 is and has been the real Grand versus Grand Arena mode sometime now. And to say otherwise is massive cope. However, this 5 versus 5 season, though there were, the same issue where the same 11-ish teams kind of rise to the top. I don't know, the little twist that we put on them here in week 2 and week 3. I thought it was fun. I thought there was some real inventiveness each week of the season. So,
well, just to push back, the reason why 3v3 is interesting is because it doesn't feel as swugga-ish. You're using 3 people instead of 5, and you use 5 everywhere else. So I'm going to push back on the fact that it feels different than 5v5. And 5v5 feels classic, but at the same time, when you face 10 of the same 11 teams every round on defense, it does get a little boring. And I honestly find it humorous that the guy who fought 3 matches all season wants to tell me that the defenses didn't get stale. How were all the Erodium defenses you had to fight?
Hey,
Pat?
no. Hold on. Think this through. Logically, it tracks. I played 3 matches all season. How the fuck was anything going to get stale on me? Run that by me.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. But
try harder.
I just think that we ended up in this position where you could set Jabba because your opponent would just affer it because Cobb wasn't even like good enough. And that's what I mean by the board felt really small this season. Right? Because like every time I said Jabba, it didn't get beaten by Cobb. It got beat by half. So I could just lock your entire Cobb out from being used all season for the last 2 weeks just by setting Jabba, the team it's supposed to beat.
Yeah, it worked for me, but we can talk about that here in a minute.
Well, that's all I was saying is when the new team comes out and then doesn't get used and is terrible on defense, that's why I said board issues. But yeah, sorry, I don't mean to monopolize the time because I'm late. I'll just
no. This is your chance to catch up on commentary, and I think you did a fair job there. So that kind of wrapped up the season overview, guys. It's time to get into the details here. Meta analysis / favorite attack and defense of the week. So let me pull up what I have here from my match with Sasha. Against his Saw, Luthen, Cassian, Undercover, Clea, and Vel, I have seen other players in the patron chat and elsewhere pulling off Balin. It's Balin, Shin, Marok, Dash, Han. You basically stop Saw from taking a turn. You plug him with Han, and then the flurry of AoE that you do after that usually stops him from going. But yeah, man, I think we did kill the Saw. I want to say we killed Saw and Luthen, and then got pretty well blown out after that. Tried a couple other things to clean it up. Gungans, don't do that. I would not recommend experience. I want to say I think I threw BKM in there somewhere, but the winner to clean up the remaining 3, so that's Cassian, Clea, and Vel, still with that FDC, wiping out a couple teams. It was GG.
But without a leadership. No
leader. That's what I'm telling you, man. When I went in there with full Gungans, proper, I didn't I didn't treat it like it was a bullshit fight. I took it in like it was a fresh team. I took full Gungans, the nice Datacron for it, whatever. And yeah, that was not good. Not good. Same I want to say with BKM. But anyway, GG stat B1, B2 Magna. Clean that up. And I did use the new GG Cron, although I don't think that was critical. And when I say new, I mean from the orange set. So second most recent set. Against the DVDE Treya Savage. So I have seen, again, other players, folks in the patron chat, landing Maz. And what it needs is really high defense to buy you the time you need to actually start taking turns. You end up doing normal anti-Sith stuff to this team, and they more or less fall over. That shit ain't happened for me yesterday, all right? Maz kicks Athano Hondo Quig. I got to tell you, it was bad. I want to say before the first person died, we took a total of 4 turns, something like that. I mean, I don't count the turns where I'm stunned. Do you? So yeah. Pirate King though was going to be the original plan if I wanted to follow through with it. So I still had it. The 4-man where you drop SM33 and run the other Darksiders is a solid 66, but having already dropped, knowing how tight my matches with Sasha usually are, I had to go in full. So we took in the full Darkside Pirate King team, got our 45 there. The other matchup that, 2 other matchups that I think were interesting to cover, he did set, Sasha set Cobb, Cup, Lobot, Jawa Scavenger, and Nebbit with the new Nebbit Cron. So that's like with the 300% protection up. When I saw that, the first thing I thought about is that there's no way I'm going to try some Gungans this. Because Gungans, I haven't tried it myself yet, but I've heard BKM is just rock solid against this team before this new Datacron set came out. But when I saw that, I was like, yeah, all this bonus protection and stuff, JML, Riposte on, Jedi Cal, ignore all that, blow them up, worked according to plan, 65 banners. And then, yeah, just because, I'm glad Dagger pinged off it earlier, but yeah, against Jabba, Chrysanthemum, Bao Shambo, Scando, Cobb, Cup, Lobot, Jedi Scav, and Nebbit, we expeditiously killed everybody but Jabba. Then Jabba got to an ultimate and chose to ultimate Lobot while Cobb was still alive, and that's how we got a 63. But that's just by the grace of God, right? I mean, he could have chosen to end it for me right there. And I am assuming that the new Cobb Datacron is going to help you move through that fight even faster, thus, heading off the possible Jabba ultimate.
One more note to
one
add
here-
on that.
Yeah, please,
Quickly,
yeah.
Tass, on that, being the sucker that set that particular defense, what I do think helped buy that ult for Jabba was setting the ISB Cron, which gives the crit avoidance, defense, health. Just the goal was to have Jabba hang in there to get an ult off.
Right.
And it did. His targeting needs rewiring, but I think that was probably a factor. I like to think it was a factor. Let me put it that way.
Can I chime in real quick while I have some?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. So I fought the Cobcron with the same team, and I took C Bane, and my Bane barely tweaked it out, in my opinion, for a 67. The amount of turns that fly around, and then he had the 100% damage with the attacker level 6. The amount of turns that were flying around were hefty. So I watched your fight, Task, with that versus that Cobb. That Cobb has a lot going on with it. Obviously, the mark, people can't die when you're doing that. I think it's going to be a lot more fun. The other piece I saw with the ISB, I faced the same thing because it does seem like you're trying to call it the Cobb, right? If you're going to use Cobb here, the crit avoidance, you don't get to do anything, so the survival's there. Afra was still killing that just fine for a 65. So I just want to call out that Cobb team is gross with that Cobb Cron. And I could totally see, I don't know if anything's going to hold it back because of the amount of turns your team is taking from that.
When you say that, you think it's got chops on defense? Like what about it?
Uh,
What about it do you think is going to
Dude,
stymie the likes of JML?
I don't think BKM can beat it. If you want my honest opinion, I think BKM gets its shit pushed in
Why do you say
because
that
the
though?
amount
Because
of damage is
BKM herself can
because
ignore tunnel.
the amount of times my team was going and you couldn't kill anybody unless Cobb was dead. They pushed so fast into my thing. And R10 Bane, R10 C with the Darth Revercron, I was literally, I'm telling you, my Bane was in the yellow. You would
I
think from
also
that amount
think
of damage it wouldn't push like that.
I also think that there's something worth saying where I'm not saying you're wrong about BKM, but when you take in 2 people to fight 5 and one of them has double damage, you're going to take more aggregate damage on those 2 people than a team of 5 will on average because AI targeting is boo-boo. So I'm not saying BKM will win. I'm just saying that if you take in a team of 5, there's a pretty reasonable chance the damage gets spread out way more than if you're taking in 2 versus 5.
Well,
I
and,
agree.
and even
I'd have
more
to
so when
record the
one of
video.
those two puts the deceive on, so only the other one can get targeted, right?
Yes. So
So
he's basically just hard
it's
focusing
focus
your
fire,
Bane down.
right?
Yeah. So
But
I'm not saying you're
I
wrong,
should have
TJ.
recorded the fight.
Yeah, I'm not
It's
saying
Yeah,
you're
it's
wrong.
not the
I'm
wrong
simply
part.
saying that
It's the mass assisting. It's not. I'm
yeah,
telling you that
sure.
I don't discount this cop crunch. I
But where
liked
I
what
yeah,
was
was
going
no
happening.
was
doubt.
The amount of mass assisting that was making
sure.
my was
Oh, we got him in the tunnel.
Well, what I was saying is I think this team's going to be much better on offense with this, and I think that
Nevercon.
it's going to slam the door on Jabba for sure, and maybe even have like Hondo and maybe even a couple other things. But I honestly think Cobb may need this Datacron to actually beat things in threes.
I think
It's gonna crush, dude.
to beat Pirate King reliably, I think that's probably going to be the case. If it isn't this Kron, he's always going to need help from a Kron set. I think for Pirate King. I
Yeah,
think Jabba's going to
And
be
the
and
the
I,
job
same.
and I,
when
and I also think that he's going to need a little bit of help in the threes because him plus the 2 supports doesn't feel.
Mhm.
No Nebit feels kind of disgusting in 3v3 in my head. It feels like they just have too much rain to just hard target your Cobb, and I don't like that.
Very fair.
So, anyway, sorry, I don't mean to. Yeah,
Oh, you do mean you son of a bitch. Hey, Fatal, I see your note there. You had to take a quick phone call. The catch up is I was just going over meta analysis for myself, just talking about a few of my fights versus Sasha, and that kicked off the current branch of back and forth. So, I mean, I don't know if you had any commentary that you wanted to include on fights versus Saw Cassian, in which I tried Balin and it bombed for me, and I cleaned it up with GG, which I thought was interesting. DVDE Treya, Maz bombed for me, took it out with Pirate King, nothing to see here. Cobb worked against Jabba, and JML worked against Cobb with the new Nebikron, and that's the skinny on it, Fatal. Anything you have to say on those fights?
Um, for Saw, I started messing around with JMK undersize. 4-man was very fine. I imagine 3-man. Like as long as you're playing to avoid hitting the decoy, I don't really see much reason that wouldn't have worked either. So, bit of a missed opportunity there. Like, would have been lovely to prey on the most popular team for +2 banners, but yeah, that is what it is. I didn't run into any comp posters, but the team does not strike me as very defensively sound.
I only had one more if we're good. It was this week that I saw. Lumicron was not on Stranger this week. Everybody was flexing it off and then trying to draw your Satil up front because doing things that were doing the standard against the Lumicron was not happening that way. Luckily, I kept my Django because I fought Barris. It was a 25% turn meter, and it was Barris and Cal, and Django was luckily able to pull it through. But it definitely was a game of I'm going to try to pull your data here, see what you're used to doing, and then I'm going to swap it up in the back.
yeah.
Fair.
I didn't like the idea of Maz versus DVDE, regardless of where. I know I mentioned this to you when you were planning it, Task,
Mhm.
but yeah, I just thought that there were too many fail points.
The data's on
For
your
that fight.
side. It's a rough looking fight by the numbers, but when I studied
Yeah,
those who won, it was generally because it was high defense. And I saw what the dice did for others. So what might they
Yeah,
do
no,
for me? And then it
yeah,
did
no,
not.
I understand that. I was just gonna add that I've been pretty happy with the Darth Vader or even Balin. I would even prefer Balin versus that.
Hmm.
But that's just like my personal opinion. Yeah, honestly, one of the biggest pinch points for me when I was looking at when I looked at my opponent's boards, the biggest pinch point was the JMK. What do you call it? Them. It felt like they were trying to pinch JMK between like Saul and a couple other things. So I felt like they were trying to like put pressure on my JMK specifically. So I was just trying to find ways to make JMK work, or to not have to use JMK. Things like that. That was my biggest pattern of attack. I would say is when I open a board and I already have an idea of what I want to use where, and then they're like, "Oh, by the way, you don't have good answers to these like one or two teams, so you have to decide how you're going to flex everything else out."
Fair. Well, hey, since you're in a chatty mood here, why don't you tell us about, your meta analysis, your favorite attack, anything like that? What do you got here from this week?
The only thing that happened to me that was any kind of interesting was I lost with Afra against Jabba
Everyone
because
point
they're
and
both
laugh.
because they're Boba Fett. First off, Jabba and Boosh resisted the doubt. And then Boba Fett ability blocked IG-90 and Afra.
Fabulous.
And it ended very quickly. They had like instant contract because I had no like CC blind or anything. I couldn't mark Boosh. B2, I didn't even do the B2 like I don't know. It was just that was the only like really memorable fight. Everything else was kind of cookie cutter. I lost one fight on efficiency. I lost one fight because I did not leave myself the requisite tools. In our business we call that pulling a TJ.
Damn.
Right.
Says the guy
Um,
behind me. That's right. You
Yeah.
tell him, boss.
Motherfucker, whatever.
DJ says, "I'm sorry, what was that? It's hard to hear you from down there."
I'm in the whatever. I'm like 130. Like eat shit. The dying part is optional, but eating shit is not.
That's right, man. You tell him. You tell him, boss.
Fair.
You show up and you stand strong.
All right, so nothing else you wanted to cover though from your week?
Riva was really good on defense. SLK and Riva in the back wall just felt SLK was so fucking good on defense for me all season. I was mostly disappointed with the amount of teams that just didn't feel like they existed.
Fair.
But yeah.
All right. Well, TJ, how about you? Your meta, matchups for the week. What do you got that's hot off the press?
I'll give you the one I thought was a lot of fun, man, as long as the service stays good. Tom Ford set up a Tom Ford SLKR team that I absolutely loved, man. He did SLKR with crew, EP, DVDE with the EP tron, and then Dre. So it's a Sith bonus turn in that setup. He pulled the right stuff up front, and because of that tie-in, what I had to go with in the back, it was not ready, man. So I ended up trying to do, the old school, you're going to take LV solo because of whatever we're doing. Well, I still needed the 2 because of the EP. And that DVDE was my downfall. But dude, such a cool
now you
team
tried
I had never seen.
tried to do the 2-man and got punished because Savage was there, didn't you?
There was no Savage. It was crew. You were not getting through crew because he don't care about the dots and everything you're doing. But the person that was beating up on me wasn't SLKR. It was DVDE. No, that's what I'm saying. With Dre there, and then EP, crew, and DVDE on an EP cron. So the Sith bonus turn.
Wild.
Dude, I loved it. It was because what solution you're coming with? I put down everything else and had to try to be efficient in the front, and he caught me with it, and it was cool. Coolest thing I had seen for a team.
Damn. That's a good one.
Yeah, hats off.
Dude, it's Tom Ford, right? It's what you would
Yeah.
expect. The things he
Shout
would
out
do.
Tom
Like,
Ford,
and he even reached out.
previous guest
Yeah, it's
here on
like, dude,
Plotting and
it's friend of the
Scheming.
show, right? I'm like, what am I supposed to do besides respect? Is like, this thing is awesome. I'm placing this myself just because he pulled all the right stuff up front and he shifted his Lumicron. That's what I was saying. Everybody, we were doing this. We all had an answer. I was doing Bane just fine. But you don't get to just go and Bane the non-Lumicron stranger teams. So that everybody was shifting away from it for this week.
Fair.
I've been placing Django historically. This time I decided to keep it, and thank God I did, because honestly, I would have had an answer for his by round 3 setup when they did the stranger. Django pummel right through it, no problem. I think probably easier than you would against the Lumicron, but trying to say Bane, I knew it was going to be a problem going into that week 3. So absolutely loved the different questions that got placed, and because of that, got a 1 and 2.
Fantastic. All right, that's a great breakdown on the week. How about you, Sasha? I guess you did fight Nira in week 3 as well, not just me. So you got maybe 2 matches with something interesting to talk about. What do you got?
Yeah, I had a good, close, not surprisingly, efficiency oriented battle with Nira. That was a good one, but certainly more fresh in my memory, and just I think a ton more fun was the matchup with you. I'm happy to walk through a bunch of that stuff. I had some learnings out of the Nira match, but that was I think what my second or third only other match of the season, so I didn't have a ton of like extensive experience with the meta. But in looking at yours, like I said, I had prioritized sort of putting together a fun defense. I was really excited for the match, and so like I was working like that hour or two before lock in the car, before lock of defenses while my wife was driving, and a few of the decisions that I made, I maybe weren't optimal, but like one of the things I ended up doing, I think for like the 10th or 11th straight match, I have Leia on defense in the back wall. And it's this kind of thing where I know you're taking a look at my history. And like the
What?
longer
No,
that
I
I
would
go
never
doing
do
that,
such a thing. How dare you?
look, we have a gentleman's agreement. You never would, but I thought perhaps just a lapse momentarily. No, but at some point you're going to think, hey, he's got to eventually take it off. And I'm like, perfect. Then I should definitely keep it on. And I think I've said that same thing to myself the last half dozen times. So Leia stayed on. I did put Slicker in the back. Hoping that might make it a little more difficult on you. And I think I had, is it, yeah, Leia. Oh, and then I put Django in the back. And I'll tell you, I put Django in the back in part because I really hadn't used it much on offense. And I'm like, I can't recall exactly what that does, but I know that if you don't have the right counter to a Django squad, it can hit like a truck. So I thought that might be fun. The reason I set in the bottom front, the Cobb Vanth squad with Nebbit is I didn't have high hopes for it as like a defensive squad, certainly not going forward. I just one more than anything else. I thought this is a rare opportunity to actually see it in action, and I like the that level 9 of the Datacron. I thought that might be kind of cool to see. And if nothing else, I thought if you didn't come correct on it, I figured that's a lot of debts because that Nebit becomes really thick, and frankly, Scavenger gets really thick because there's all this extra health. Plus, I have the support grit on there, so I'm like, and it gives whatever 300% bonus protection. So I'm like, it's going to take a while to get through this stuff. Maybe you just get some debts that blow up and take banners off. So I wanted to see that, but at the end of the day, it probably left me with a tighter or like at least less thought out offensive set of resources there, which actually made for a really fun time. And where I felt that pressure was, I looked at your bottom front wall task. You set the Saw, Cassian, Clea, Luthen, Baze. I set it with Vel instead of Baze. I like Vel a little bit more, but Baze is also really good. I still was left thinking, do I want to use JMK here? And I figured you probably wanted me to use JMK there, so I'm like, let's use something other than JMK. And what I ended up going with there that I had pulled to offense but set on defense before, but I wanted to see it used was Seer Malicos Crew Asajj with that Asajj bonus turn and Maul. And I know that thing can kill Pirate King Hondo. I didn't quite expect to see Pirate King Hondo, but I was curious to use that on offense. And so I used it against Saw Cassian. And it was a bloody battle, felt pretty good. Like, I don't think I was at high risk of losing it, but I dropped 6 banners. So Seer Malicos and Asajj got a 59 against your Saw, but it saved me my JMK. There was a theme of like, I dropped a bunch of banners on a few of these things, but felt lucky to get through it. Similarly, like let's see, on your Stranger, there was no Lumi. You moved Lumi over to Ray. So Stranger, I used Satil, even though, like, to me, that was screaming like, hey, Sasha, use Satil here, so that you'll be set up painfully for the back. And I'm like, okay. So I did. And then Ahsoka, I had, for the first time since the character came out, saved Stranger for offense. I said, whatever, 6-7 TLs. And so I held that, and I'm like, that's how I'm going to get through Ahsoka, because otherwise it was going to be Great Mothers. But I did that. That probably because I misplayed it. Although I don't know. I got a 59 instead of the 62 to 65 I would have expected. But it was fun to get to use that. On Ray Lumi, I used QA. Really smooth, not a problem. Where I felt sort of a little bit of that resource constraint based on the defense that I set was when I looked at your back wall, which was really formidable. It was what LV, Slicker, and Leia, and what I had left. And I would have loved to have used Pirate King Hondo for a 66 on your EP DVD Treya, but I really felt like I needed that after I tried on your Leia. Like, I would have been okay using Pirate King Hondo on EP, except when I tried your Leia with Bane Sith Assassin, I made what I think was just a critical mistake in Datacron selection, in that I knew that was like a high defense, like good Drogon cron you had on there, but I was pretty confident my Bane would do well. And generally, I either err on the side of like a ton of health on Bane or a ton of armor pen or crit damage. I'm like, I'm either going to just right out of the gate wipe all the sides out and then just be able to outlast Leia and should be okay, or I'm just going to be super thick and I can just hang in there for a while. I went middle ground. I can't remember exactly what the cron was, but let's say it was like 65% crit damage, and like 40% health, and I don't know, a bunch of assorted other things that probably didn't matter. And that left me right in this sort of like gaping in between hole of like, I was not able to kill Drogon early with Bane. Like, Drogon went into the red, healed back up, went back into the red, and I'm like, that's not good. And then I wasn't able to hang in long enough. So even though Sith Assassin did die first, your Leia Rebel Squad was able to beat out my Bane. That full fail by Bane on the Leia left me in a tough spot, because the EP DVD Treya that you set, that meant I couldn't use a Pirate King Hondo. And what I ended up going with was
wait. Sorry to interrupt
yeah.
you. What do you mean? The EP DVD Treya has offered no impediment to Pirate King for me in the past. What's
I
jamming you
needed
up?
pirates. I had no other way. I needed to repurpose Pirate King Hondo to take down LV.
Okay.
This point.
No, now it's clear,
So
please.
correct. Yeah. Sorry. So that was the pivot point for me. And I felt like, okay, that's a clean 65, and it was, and that's how I used it. But I need to figure out another solution for EP DVD Treya. And the thing that kept coming into my head is like, I'd watched this, like the EP DVD thing, and this is what happened when you brought your Maz, is like, you get these TM trains with it. And even if you have a whole bunch of defense, they're just going EP, and particularly Darth Vader Duel's End, are just going so often, they're just tearing you apart. And I'm like, that TM train is brutal. What stops that TM train? It's not going to be my JMK. My JMK was allocated elsewhere. But Darth Malik, I'm like, Darth Malik's the way to go, because he's unique. I think it's the Gnawing Terror one, says Sith can't gain bonus turn meter. So I'm like, why don't I try a C Darth Malik and assorted basket of goodies because I don't want to underestimate the squad with high defense. And long story short, there were bits of Sith everywhere. Like it was a bloody mess, but I was able to hang in there to eventually kill off your EP DVD tray. I think I got a 55 out of 65,
Something,
but
yeah. There was a
it
brutal.
was tough, dude. It was
I
tough.
was delighted that I mean, it's never great when you see 0 drops on the front wall, but then when I saw the numbers, I was like, okay, all right, he's being careful. He's minding his way through because he rightly expects bad shit in the
Yeah.
back.
I did, and then it was the hard fail on Leia. Once Bane hard failed there, what I did was probably a slight bit of tilt, and at that point, I'm like, okay, I've got to break that down. I had JMK left for your Slicker, slam dunk, PKH left for your LV, slam dunk. So I've got like 2 really good battles there. Your Jabba, I was able to take out with Afra. Um, Jedi Master Mace, I ended up mirroring because I think you had set Keller and Beck, and I kept Ayla, and I liked my chances slightly better with that comp. Not a huge deal, but yeah, that was comfortable. But then when I looked at Leia and what I had left outside of what was allocated or already used, I'm like, I'm going to just need to break that squad down. And that squad is hard to break down. Like with the Drogon Kron, they a lot of damage right out of the gate. So what I tried, and this is why I think I ended up with ultimately like 7 attacks on it, is I tried Balin and friends, and I thought I was going to at least get Drogon. I was fairly close, and that was with a Marak Kron. So I figured, okay, he's going to ramp, and we'll get some good damage. Nope, ultimately wiped me without any kill. I tried Great Mothers, actually as a decent track record of being able to get Drogon out. And I'm like, once Drogon's out, I'll break this down, and I can just preserve everything, and it'll just be most of my bleed on this, like many attempts here. Great Mothers came close on Drogon, but what it's between your modding, the cron, everything else, Drogon just wouldn't go down. So then Great Mothers got completely wiped. So now I'm down Bane, Balin, and Great Mothers on it, and had to figure something out. And ultimately, it was GG. I think took out Drogon, like my like maybe it was the Separatist squad. Oh, I think I had a droid Decacron on it that I don't even know that it survived long enough to get used. But GG's AoE eventually got him down. And then I had JML left for the cleanup. Thought I would be okay, but it was even that didn't work. But eventually I whittled it down. So that is the very, very long-winded tale of how I lost a bunch of manners to you, but it was a very, very fun match, man. Like it was, yeah, it was the best time I've had losing in this game by far.
Well, hey, I appreciate that. Thank you. It's always a pleasure getting to fight you, and I really appreciate all the detail here because this tells a lot more of a story than just looking at .gg. I do want to have us take a quick commercial break here since I'm out of a drink, but before we do that, TJ, if you're handy, we've got a couple questions in the chat just asking you to double confirm the composition of that DVD team that Tom Ford set on you. Could you state that for the record?
Yeah, can you hear me again? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So it was SLKR lead, EP, DVDE, crew, and Dre.
Damn. All right. Well, there you go, people. There's a couple things I wanted to follow up that you said. Fighting. Remember what they are, Sasha. But yeah, I didn't want to cut you off because I could tell you were in a flow state, rattling that off. I mean, I guess I'll confirm it later when I look. You did Afra for Jabba, right?
I did, and you got at least you got 1 ult off, and I think a separate side kill. So that was like a 58, and so that again, it was blood all over the place.
Very nice. Oh, yeah, you mentioned Django earlier. Curiously enough, I thought this was very significant. I mean, I did reserve Django for your Stranger, and you didn't end up setting Stranger. But I was surprised that by the time I got to the back wall, I was like, huh, I'm holding Django, and I don't think I need it. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah, I felt weird not using him at all. There was something else, but I guess I forgot it. It'll come back to me in like 5-ish minutes. Fatal, we haven't forgot about you. We know you're alive there. We're going to get your takes on the meta and your favorite attack and defense when we come back from a quick break. See you guys in just a moment. Thank you for tuning in. And when we finish up our review of the meta of this week, we're going to take viewer questions, for probably at least a half hour, something like that. So we'll see how it goes, guys. Be right back. All right, party people, we are back. Thank you for waiting. And yeah, we were in meta analysis slash your favorite attack and defense of the week. Fatal, tell us all about the best of week 3.
It was really just about working or continuing to work on stuff like ISB versus Ray. I think is it 3 or 4? Oh no, the last opponent blocked it, so they specifically tried to block my ISB, so I didn't get to run it there. But yeah, it's gone well. The biggest thing going into the next season now is we are finally on the true versions of the Endor squads. So you will have to learn Cassian and you will have to learn ISB if you want to use them. And I think ISB will be a lot easier to translate than Cassian. But there's still gonna be work to do there, like ISB or sorry, IPD. too many acronyms. IPD, I think, has been kind of getting off easy right now for, he's R7. Like, he's got the health primaries and all that, but I mean, surely, like, a Ray ult plus a Ben AoE is going to take some more reassurances now that, assumedly, Ben Solo will get to play the video game sometimes. Although, we do have stuff like Blind. There's a lot of stuff that...
Isn't the majority of what... I mean, I haven't tried ISB versus Ray, but isn't most of what gives you the time to do your job just the high health? Surely we could substitute in metas of the future with a high health Kron? Maybe?
Well, kind of the point is, Partagas Datacron has kind of just made it so that you never needed to know how to play ISB. You just never needed to answer these questions. It was just... You had a hammer for every nail that showed up. It was just, hey, is Ben Solo a problem? I don't know. He's never gonna... he will never play once. And so on, right? So...
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would imagine...
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I imagine, like, quality check, maybe thinking about my KX mods now that I'm, like, expected to be more proper. Really sit down with the matchup and take a look and be like, all right, what am I doing here? What do I need to be covering for or watching for?
All right. So
yeah,
when,
and
when
also
we come back to 5 vs 5 next, blue set will be gone. So you got a sneak peek. Nothing that, I'm not asking you to say anything you're going to swear by. Nobody can sue you for this. But what do you think are the changes that you want to make to both ISB and Cassian, if any, to support the meta of next 5 vs 5?
Cassian, I don't have an answer and probably will not have an answer. I really hope we get training mode before next 5v5. Cassian very, very badly will want to be able to take that time to sit down and train and plan. No other squad in this game, except for like maybe Jedi Leia, will warrant having a training room more than I think Cassian, just to lab shit. But yeah, ISB I think is just tidy it up a bit, make sure, like, the worst thing that can happen to you as ISB is either, oh shit, my KX got controlled, but, Ray teams aren't really doing that to you on average, right? The second worst thing that can happen to you is, oh shit, I randomly lost one of my units and got deranked, and now I've lost, kind of my control until I get a kill back. And so just being sure that I'm prepared for whatever I run into, and then I guess I need to take a second pass on looking at KX damage output of, like, the hell true damage is doing good stuff, but also, like, he is critting for, like, notable numbers. And I wasn't really built for that at all, so, like, I don't know if there's ever a world where I should, like, look at that or maybe consider a crit damage triangle or some weird shit. I don't know. That's all very much up in the air at the moment. But
yeah,
I mean, initial signs certainly seem to be that, yeah, the true damage 10% of max health is lovely, but it's not everything that he's got. So.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate it, because this is... I know that ISB versus Ray has definitely gotten some play here in the middle towards the end of the season, something like that. I wonder. And By the way, Krennic, I did use this team a couple times, I want to say, just for funsies. Krennic feels fun in this team. I really do like. There's nothing not to like about AoE stagger. Not guaranteed
Except for the
AoE
50,
stagger.
except for when it doesn't happen ever because you're me.
Oh,
You know-
that's life.
You know, Dagger, I firmly believe in two kinds of luck. There's the type of luck where you win the lottery and the type of luck where you don't get hit by a bus crossing the street. You ask yourself which luck you'd prefer. Because I already know which
I'd rather
kind
win
you
the-
got.
I would honestly rather win the lottery because then I wouldn't have to deal with.
Ingrate. Man just wants to get done in by a random Mack truck.
I would be happy getting done in by a random Mack truck if it guaranteed me the lottery, because then my family wouldn't be so fussed that I was gone. They'd be financially stable for generations. You're telling me that you wouldn't trade your life for the financial stability of your family for generations?
I mean, I
Got it.
feel
I
like
got
I'm
his ass.
responsible
See,
for
Chad, I
like
got
the
his ass.
immediate generation I make, and then after them, they're supposed to do for them. Yeah,
Well, I guess this boils down to you only have one progeny, and I have,
it's true. It's
the
true.
litter that I do.
Yes, an actual lawn sprinkler.
I have a football team.
Yeah, man's out here. And
Yeah, I heard I heard the line when I was 14, skeet skeet like a water hose, and I took that shit as a life challenge.
something of the kind. All right, sorry. Back over to you, Fatal. Thanks for indulging my question. But anything else you wanted to highlight as a interesting meta matchup or top Packer defense of this week?
I'm trying to think.
Mhm.
It honestly feels like I would say a lot of what happened this season already talked about in a couple of past weeks. It feels like there's a lot more potential movement that's going to happen at the start of next 5v5.
Mhm.
So
Fair. It is
kind
gonna
of
be
down key for
fun.
this week. No, what do you say?
No, I said it's going to be fun with everything that's going to have rotated out. I love I honestly, quick aside, love the new cadence, love the freshness, love the brevity of the dominance of any particular meta. Although I will say, since they implemented this, I don't feel any particular set was overwhelmingly dominant in a historical sense. So
I will
The
say love
argument-
it. Sorry.
You go first.
I would say the only part that is even I love the new cadence too. The only thing that's even a little bit annoying is that when you have a set that has two 3v3s, I need to mentally remember to make sure I come up with a couple extras because it's gonna have two 3v3 sets. Right. And I forget that sometimes. And I got hoed out by that in like the one of the last couple sets. So that's the only annoyance for me for this, but I love this cadence. I agree with everything Tass said. Stamp, endorse.
fair. All right, sorry. Back to you, Fatal.
The thing that I would say is I get what you're saying that no set has had like a really crazy cron, but I think we're overall in a very, very, very high power datacron state right now. Like we have so many jacked up, amped up teams at the moment that I am actually kind of looking forward to things to turn down tempo a little bit to I think give some of the cool new kits some base room to breathe. Whether or not that's going to be coming remains to be seen. Certainly, I think, with some exceptions, like the newest Datacron set seems pretty weak overall. Like Jar Jar and Ugnut are probably the only good ones there, on average. That if things continue to be low key in the near future, then I think we're probably headed in that direction. But yeah, dude, I mean, we've had what Cassian, Luminara, Partagaz, Riva, Drogon, like bulk plus defense, GR going crazy, EP, DVDE, like Satil, Sortie if you're that particular sort of person, like, and I'm still missing shit, like Django, right? Like, that list can keep on going, that is just like, yeah, there hasn't been like one focal point, but I think when you tally everything up, and I would argue that they're all pretty high power level, like, it's just been a lot that, like, Yeah, man. I feel like things are very elevated at the moment. That I'll be curious to see how things feel the next time that we get into a lower power baseline.
Yeah, I see where you're going, and we'll see what the trend line is because there's a unknown set that will be active X5 versus 5. So we'll see. But there should always be, I don't know, what would you say? 3 to 5
I
teams per meta that are per meta, not per set, per meta that are extra elevated.
I think we're currently closer to like 6.
Hmm. You're probably right.
I think we are well above that for this current moment in time.
Hmm.
I don't know. I kind of enjoy my ebbs and flows. Like if there's every once in a while, they're just like, all right, we're gonna print 2 or 3 chillicrons, and it's just gonna be, just focus on your fundamentals, focus on base stats and whatever. I enjoy those every now and then, as long as the baseline meta health is like interesting enough that there's really fun stuff to tinker with. I have enjoyed a lot of those past metas. If there's not much going on the 6s and 9s and the level 3s are also dog shit, then maybe that's, I like my 3s and stats. 3s and stats are my favorite types of crons, so like I want at least a little bit of that action and variety, but yeah,
Fair.
I know.
Fair.
And can we please just not have light side bulk for training wheels for 1 fucking month? I know we just had a month off not that long ago, but it feels like we've had it like way more than not.
Fair. Okay, well, appreciate that. I think that wraps up everything here from meta analysis. Guys, we are now in the viewer question. So, if you've been waiting this long, this is your chance. Ask the panel anything you like. I'll be checking it here on Twitch, on YouTube. So, anything you want to ask. I think along the way, you guys have had some questions in the chat. I did my best to answer them, I want to say. Gonna scroll real quick.
And we should all be Belgium fans for the next week or so.
Flare Boot says, "Are you ready for 400% defense to offense, Bo-Katan? Did I miss this part of the discussion? No, this episode is focused on week 3 and then wrapping up the season. Look for the preview episode for the next 3 versus 3 to get our thoughts on any impact of the newest Datacron set. Let's see here.
Salesman.
Sorry, go ahead.
This guy is secretly selling amp egg crowns on the side. I'm telling you. He's just going around like, guys, this Bo-Katan cron. Oh my god, have you seen this? I thought behind the scenes
the
is
defense
just
to
like,
offense thing wouldn't change how hard dots hit you, right? It would just change the damage done along with the dot.
no, it's just, I put it this way. BKM versus LV with 2% amp bag right now is rather quite sweaty. 10% amp bag is it's a lot.
Yeah, basically Fatal's saying that you can have as much offense as you want. The pressure from the dots chunking you for 10% per dot is a borderline faster clock still.
I am joking that he's profiteering off of selling LV crowns to go with them or to go against them.
Oh, yeah.
Fair. All right.
I was just saying, man, I am actually kind of excited for this next Datacron set. Just because, like Fatal mentioned earlier, it feels a lot more low key, and I don't like that. I think there might be some interesting combos with the 3s and 6s, and I look forward to people smarter than me figuring that shit out.
Fair.
I think it's just like you want a tasteful amount. You want to like, I don't know. It's like taking a brief sabbatical, right? It's just like you go to the low power zone, you just see some matchups and get to feel the baseline shit, and then you go back to Crazy Lands. It's just a nice refresher every now and then.
All right, next item here is from Izeta. Hey, good to see you. I low-key think this set, the purple one, has way more potential, so the newest set, than most people realize. What's your general thoughts on this set and any cool ideas you guys have planned? Look, man, it's exceptionally rare that I do this, but that's definitely something we're going to cover in the next episode at length. The short answer is yes. There are some very interesting crons, and most of the ones that I'm interested in have little to do with the level 9 available. So, sorry to have to punt that one. I think we're going to have to save that for next episode. Sir Silent Static says, have you tested the Cassian team with GL Leia? So I guess you mean against GL Leia. Using it in Conquest, and it is interesting. Any word from you guys on that? I have nothing.
Conquest is not a reasonable sandbox. My Ewoks win in Sector 5.
Yeah, it's like I've played it in Squad Arena a little bit, and it's like technically doable, but that's also not really representative. It's just, yeah, man. Look, my prediction is I don't think many people are going to play Cassian, or at least like he's going to have some hard counters where it's like, we know that he's good against mass assists, right? Like a Reva Kron will get everyone undermined, and people will gravitate towards that. But like, it's going to take some real work to get Cassian running smoothly against a lot of squads. And so I don't even know if we're going to see that many Cassian results early on, but I do think he is very much capable. It's just you really need to think about what you're doing and why and when.
Now, are you talking about a Cassian lead situation, or are we talking about Saw?
I don't think Saw Cassian is going to exist at all after the FTC.
Okay. Good deal.
I think Saw
Yeah,
Luthen still will in some
I'm sorry. I
context.
misinterpreted Silent Static. He was saying using Cassian team members with GL Leia. So capitalizing on them
maybe
being
one of
rebel.
them. The team is pretty much locked into like Leia, Drogon, R2, and Stormtrooper Luke is like probably one of the best things, if not the best thing you can be doing on that team. So, sure, if you have one of the Cassian people that's like a free agent, like I'm sure Vel, maybe Cinta Vel are decent on that team. I mean, after, like Fatal said, after this Datacron rotates, I don't really see Saw lead really holding down many of the Cassian guys. So,
I don't
Fair.
like the only one who would maybe consider going in would be Vel, and even then, I feel like Vel has enough hooks that I feel like she would probably be missing a bit too much for not being either with Cinta or not under Cassian. Because you have to remember, like, she gets resilient defense back when she's attacked by an undermined enemy, so like her whole sticky taunt situation doesn't necessarily happen under GL Leia. It's just, yeah, I pretty much what Dagger said, like Stormtrooper Luke under Leia is doing some pretty decent things. Cinta under Cassian is doing some very nice things. I would just let them rock in their spaces.
I think losing Cinta Vel is too much from the Cassian team. I don't know if the Cassian team plus Baze is picking up a good enough fifth to do meaningful tasks.
Fair. Yeah, I wouldn't naturally think that under Cassian speed that I would set Baze. So. Okay. Vin Altabi asks, what will be your Cobb combo in 3 versus 3, and for what do you want to use it? That's another one that's going to have to be in the preview episode for the next 3 versus 3. And,
well, we have incomplete information because we're missing a whole 2 Datacron sets. 1 Datacron set? We haven't talked about 2 different Datacron sets between now and then. So we don't know what we need it to be.
He means this immediate upcoming 3 versus 3 season, where this Cobb Cron is going to be fresh and new.
Oh, Yeah, we have an in-between episode.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we could definitely go on about that because there's some ideas, but I will say that over the last couple days, I've talked to several players that have had some really cool ideas that I wasn't immediately thinking of. So I think by the time we sit down to record that, there's going to be some more mature thoughts on what's actually worth springing for. I gotta say, as a group, these Rollcrons are significantly weaker than I want to say either incarnation we've seen before, and I'm okay with that,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, 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 no. Fair,
No,
fair.
just the two Rollcrons we've had are arguably two of like the four strongest sets we've ever seen.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next
I thought
question.
I thought the question sorry, I thought the question was about the next 5v5, and I was just saying we have incomplete information.
Yeah, no,
I
he did
misunderstood the
specifically
question.
say 3 versus 3, and I appreciate the ask, but we could be talking off topic on 3 versus 3 all night.
Well,
Well, I could. I mean, you can go pound sand. Smedge
you can call me
asks.
Anakin.
Smedge asks, who wins the World Cup? Quickly, sports ball fans. Anyone in the chat? Somebody with a thought
I'm
on
rooting
that.
for Belgium. They knocked out the U.S.
All right, there you go. I'm not a sports
It
ball
would be.
person.
I wish. I wish it. I wish it would have been Iran for obvious reasons. But let's go Belgium.
Okay, fair.
France feels unbeatable. I'm sure they are very beatable, but they look so good.
That is very true. I also just can't root for French people.
Painful. All right, no other sports fan thoughts on that. Good. Next question. Maximus says, Fatal mentioned learning Cassian undercover on offense. What would he say is the one thing he has learned this season if he has used it on offense? So I guess, do you have any insight on what you'd like to try this against come next 5 versus 5 in specific terms?
I this is the first team that I've ever had where I actually had to go through and sit down and take notes and like actually just be like, okay, here's all the places where Undermine comes from. Here's everything that Undermine does, and then also being mindful of like, here's everything that Cassian Lead is kind of resistant to or has a barrier against. And so once you have a map of that, it's like, okay, he's good against mass assists. He prevents instant defeats as well as percent health damage. Like that already gives you a bit of a picture. Like I'm sure he'll beat Java, or it's the same thing that like Brada and people are doing. It's just like, yeah, deaths can't hurt you, ults can't hurt you. That already kind of flags a uh, anti-Java positioning. But no, I'm not being deliberately vague when I say this. It's actually just complex as hell. Of like, this is a full-blown build your own combo team, and so the first step for me is going to be figuring out the best combos. The second step is going to be figuring out what is favored where, when, and why. Third is going to be figuring out how often Luthen is needed versus whether I can run Luthen Saw undersizes. Yeah, man, it's just a lot of work to be done. Be curious to see if anyone else is working on that space, but players are pretty risk averse right now, so I would imagine outside of like obvious Cassidy use cases, I don't think too many people are going to be working on it.
For 5 versus 5, I think you're right. The board, I mean, this meta less than a lot. The meta of 5 versus 5 is really efficient a lot of the time. And so, yeah, not a lot of room to experiment, but man, this is a really attractive team to try. I am looking forward to it. I think it's going to be very fun to use on offense because its mechanics are really abusable. But then again, great offense teams for 5 versus 5. Yay. The real fun though is gonna be doing this in 3 versus 3. Don't listen to Dagger. Don't listen to Dagger. Don't be a 3 versus 3 hater. Don't be the type of person that doesn't appreciate the only version of Grand Arena with an appreciably large footprint. No,
First off, I'm a 3v3 realist, and I don't hate 3v3. I just don't find it as enjoyable as I do 5v5, generally speaking.
Very good. Very good. All right. Next question from Chronic. Any Ahsoka comps or modding that surprised you guys? So I did spring for the very high crit chance, 150+% on my Night Sister Spirit, and I was able to go after a wait a minute, he didn't. You didn't have a crit avoidance arrow on you, did you, Sasha? On your Ezra. He said, talking to himself into the abyss. Well, anyways, I don't think he did because he still had it relatively fast. So, anyway, I'm prepared for crit avoidance arrow. I think he had relatively high health. And we didn't one-shot the Ezra, but we took him down to something like 35% in one hit. And yeah, man, good. Sorry.
Yeah, it was the absurd health task that he did. It was straight health on the bolt cron.
It was health on the arrow as well.
No, I'm saying the cron, the DC, and everything else. I don't remember the
Yeah,
CA,
I
but he
remember
would
that. He had a light side
he
bolt
stacked,
3 and
yeah,
just over
absurdly
100%
high.
health. Yeah, super resistant to getting one shot by what is effectively true damage from Spirit. Yeah,
Fun Grey Brothers experience this week where I killed Ahsoka first.
wow, what's that about?
Just my turn order was screwed up slightly with Grey Brothers not being first, so I was just turn 0 Morgan mass on Ahsoka, and my spirit was just chopping away. I was just like, I'm pretty sure I could just do this. So I just kept on doing it, and they went down first. I don't even know if it's that good to do, to be honest, because, like, Ezra ostensibly will probably still just murder you given the opportunity. It did work out. It was amusing to me, but
I believe it.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, but I will say this. I think that when we come back to the next 5 versus 5, we won't have the Dedricron, right? So it was a really interesting dovetail to have that crit avoidance arrow with the high crit avoidance offered by that Datacron. In absence of that, assuming we don't get something similar to replace it, I do suspect that it's probably strictly better to be a health primary. Does anybody have conflicting opinion
Primary for
just general anti Great Mother's behavior in absence of some cron that's going to be really pushing up the crit avoidance? Would you still rock the crit avoidance if it was just going to end up being the arrow plus, your relic 10 bonus and whatnot?
Are you talking about on Ezra?
Fighting Ezra, yes. So how best to set up Ezra in a future where we don't have a huge chunk of crit avoidance coming off of a Datacron?
Well, ostensibly, he's probably going to have grid, right? So you might just be able to build for everything.
Okay, yeah, I mean, unless you're remodding him for protection, the life total gain is going to be kind of modest.
I'm a remodder.
I believe you.
This the season. Yeah, bud. We're going into 3v3 where General Sedula was already potentially indicated that you give me grid on top. Yeah, bud. I'm making my General Sedula and Ezra Bridger in both modes fat as fuck. The water is nice. Give me your Grey Brothers.
Prop primaries ahoy. Yeah, the age of grit for your supports is upon us. That is interesting. Okay. Sneak peek on 3 versus 3 stuff, eh?
All right, TJ,
I imagine it'll
I need
still
you to
work for
update your
5v5
template
too.
as fast as possible.
Sorry?
I said, all right, TJ, I need you to update your template as fast as possible for me.
Get on it now. Yeah, mule.
Oh, I'll be doing that, man. That's
Mm.
No,
not
I'm just
twist
giving you.
that. I'm more no, but that's true. I will be in there doing this, so that will be a thing.
There.
Yeah.
All right, next question from Delman. Do you guys think CG is ever going to address the Kyber squish? And I did ask him to clarify. He did specify. He means by the erodiums here in the top Kyber 1, just trying to get it down to actual real Kyber 1 players. I think that the only thing we've had, as far as even a directional statement from CG, was something they put out in a road ahead a few months back saying that later this year, sometime this year, they intend to address quote unquote legacy PvP modes, something like that. So
Well, they
that
said,
would.
right.
Hmm?
They said they'd take a look at them. They didn't even commit to,
All right. Well,
modifying.
I'd say that's the most they've said. And by that, I would
They
assume
also
I,
they
I,
also acknowledge that it is a problem. They just don't have a fix.
they have said that they have seen all our posts, and there's really never been an official follow up since. They basically came out with a post after everybody started spamming the forums on it, saying like, "Yes, we're aware of this." Um, and what we mean by that is stop making new threads about it.
Yeah,
And
it'll get fixed when we get the new version of whatever Grand Arena is going to be.
yes, just beat me to the punch in saying, yeah, I don't think we're expecting any type of change in the state of things until whatever big change they're putting in, what I expect would be a successor mode to Grand Arena. Super Grand Arena plus Grand Arena Ascended, something, a rebrand with whatever. And that's going to fix the problem that allows this matchmaking issue to exist. So we'll see.
Yeah, they're going to call it. I already know what they're going to call it. They're going to call it the Capital Games Sasha Aisha Cup.
Nice. I'm down. I'd vote for it. I'd vote for it. Who else? Who else is more deserving? The only other people that have had the streaks at rank 1 like Sasha are retired. They're gone.
Or
They're not
functionally
here
retired.
anymore.
Yeah, they're either retired or functionally retired. Sorry, Aesop. We would love to have you back.
Damn. Aesop, yeah, man. He's he fell into that classic trap where he had the opportunity to do something awesome in real life, and instead of pursuing mobile game glory, chose real life, and we pity him. We pity him. Hmm?
And Sasha is just too humble. So this is his second streak, which is the first one's the longest ever, and this one is going to be closing in on the second longest ever here in the next
That's
couple
right.
of seasons if he holds it.
That's right. He became a bored god, retired from the game for a bit, then descended Olympus, went all the way down to ground floor, and just said, "You know what? What the fuck? Let's turn back around and climb back up the mountain."
Yeah, yeah. Sasha would never say this, so we have to toot his horn for him, and not in that kind of way, you sick bastards. Although $20 is $20.
Yeah, Maximus, I see his comment there, man. Not to depress you all, but I checked the coming erodiums. There's another 20 that could be coming after the next squish. I'm not at all surprised. I was thinking here at the beginning of the stream when Fatal mentioned that he was targeting to be around or thereabouts of top 50. It's like, yeah, okay, see you top 70, top 80, something like that come start of next 3 versus 3, because that is the real that I would completely expect at this.
Yeah, the top 100 is basically the top 20 at this point.
Something like that.
But it
Yeah,
feels
it's just about that extreme. All right.
I think it's like 37. I think there's like 37
Really? That
in the
seems
top
high.
100.
All
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's probably. Anyways.
Loot Flash. First impressions about Rada. I mean, just using Rada in Coliseum, extraordinary, brutal, action hero slug. I'm very satisfied with the animations. I'm satisfied with the smack the shit out of people. Other thoughts?
Awesome
think
kit
he will-
design, bad game design. He's going to be a shit ton of fun.
I think he's sort of the modern Nest, except Nest was more of like you learn which characters you put down in order to block Nest. And in this case, I think it's more so just like, okay, you just need to understand how Rada works and then remod like one or two crucial teams on or characters on a team to tech against Rada.
The one upside for this team in 5, since this is a 5v5 show, is that if Rada does solo a team, you will just stop seeing that team on defense. So
That is
hopefully
for
this
sure.
makes some of you people raise the floor of your goddamn defense.
Well,
Oh,
won't
to
be
be
their
to be
choice
to be
anymore.
clear, Rada by default is going to solo a lot of teams, including Galactic Legends. Those teams will be able to stop Rada if the player is in the mood to. And if they aren't, well, good luck, buddy.
CDs, yes.
Yeah, man, I'm really sad because, like, man, I'm so happy he's good, and I'm so sad that he exists.
I reboot a couple of characters. It'll be all right.
No, I'm
He-
just saying, like, it's like the Sidious Kron and that kind of stuff, where it's like, I didn't want more team characters that soloed. Anyway, I'm just a whiny
Okay,
bitch on
let me
this.
put it this way.
Mhm.
When Sidious Kron was printed, there was nothing you could do. My opinion on Rada is it's going to be a great time for getting defense holds because most people aren't going to be tagging it, which is going to give a lot of people a false sense of security, and then those people are just going to get fucking ambushed. And so I think there will be a legitimately Rada will cause an increase in holds for me if I am correct in blocking him.
Yeah, Loot Flash has an addendum here. I mean, about the era releasing new era tunes compared with Cassian. Is this the OP tier? And I do feel like easily, right? I mean, just even obviously by design, just reading the character, he's certainly the most singly powerful unit that I think we've seen out of the new Coliseum system. And I am thinking about Spider Mall. He seems a cut above that as well.
Well, he's designed to be a cut above that, so I would sure hope he is.
Exactly. Kat, is there a reason
Yeah,
you're
he's
flashing
designed to
freaking
be the
stuff on my
successor to
desk?
Bane.
Yeah.
Right? He's designed to be like Bane, where it's like, hi, I'm going to 1v5 or Bane's case 2v5 your whole team, so my kit has to reflect that.
The thing you need
Yeah.
to keep in mind is Rada does not ramp his damage. Like, if you're aware of that, you can even see that happening in Coliseum. Like, the closest thing he does to damage ramp is just shredding your armor to 0. But I already suspect that in Coliseum, armor values are, like, very low. So, like, you know, he's just sitting there in Coliseum hucking, like, 10k damage twice or whatever. And,
Yeah.
Datacron's pending and all that. We'll see. It's a function of, okay, well, maybe how high can you get his damage for some matches versus, like, how much are they pressuring you that you might have to invest in ways to stay alive. But it's like...
You see this, though? He has a decent basis of armor penetration here at level 125, so implying we've got a serious, armor penetration candidate. It's not all that common these days we get armor penetration on Datacrons, though.
Well, no, he shreds the enemy armor to 0. His armor pen value pretty much doesn't matter past his first couple of turns. My point is that shredding their armor to 0 and doing effective true damage to them is all he does. He doesn't, like, Bane does more damage over the course of a match. He stacks up his health and that does more damage, and he does more damage based on enemy buffs and all that. Rada is just Rada, right? He's got a lot of survivability. He's got a solid amount of, like, you can't execute me, you can't thermal detonator me, you can't percent health me. I have large base stats and free extra defense. Is like, those are a good amount of reassurances to try to not die. But the biggest issue for Rada in a lot of cases is going to be the clock. Because on some level, in some ways, he has 5 minutes, and he is death by 1,000 cuts. And if an enemy player knows that, I mean, imagine the nicest or spirit equation or consideration, but instead of one big initial hit, it's just Imagine a Night Sister Spirit just trying to hack away at you for 5 minutes.
Yeah, just
And what would
really
you do to try to
vulnerable
stop that?
restoration. Yeah.
Well, Restoration already has healing immunity, but also just like, imagine if you just had a really high base health and protection pool where you said, okay, I don't really need to care about defense. I'm huge. What are you gonna do about it? You got 5 minutes. Tick tock. Start throwing your 10k times 2.
Fair. I wonder if this guy ends up in offense modding to shore
Almost
up that
assuredly.
weakness.
Almost
I think his modding is going to depend on the matchup, and I think that matchup will also need to depend their modding based on him.
I don't really see a world where you really mod Rada for bulk. I don't feel like he really struggles in that particular area.
Well,
It's a function
you
of
mentioned he might though earlier, Fatal.
it's a function of whatever matchup you're fighting, right? Like if you're fighting Jabba, you don't really need to worry about incoming damage. But if you're fighting an aggressive SL team, yeah, you better be worried. They're like, especially non-GL teams, barb testing is not conclusive or indicative, and you should never take it seriously. But if in barb testing he is getting fucked up in some matchups, you should probably take that as an indicator of like, I should be careful going into real matches sometimes that I might get fucked up. Like Queen Amidala basically never let him play. They just beat his ass.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, let me catch up here. More sports questions. Yay. Sir Silent Static says, what American football teams are you rooting for this season? I will devote not more than 30 seconds to this. Anybody fill the air as you wish.
I'm a Ravens fan at heart. I live in the Twin Cities, so I want the Vikings to be good. And as long as the Steelers and Cowboys lose, everything is right with them. Well, American football.
Anybody else?
And Tass talks a hell of shit for the amount of football he's going to watch this season. Because he's going to watch a good 6 to 8 hours.
I'm going to have it on my second monitor a lot. Yeah. Sure. Sure. That is for sure.
And if the Lions are good, he's going to DM me like, "Hey, when do the Lions play it?" Right? Because that's what he did last year in the playoffs. So he can talk a lot of smack about not caring. He's DM'd me in the past. When do the Lions play?
Fair. All right. Let's see. Ren2G.
Oh, I have a question off of that. Sasha? Are you a Raiders fan or are you a Niners fan?
Sasha said he has to step away for a second.
Oh, never mind.
So that's what you get, and it's no more than you deserve. All right, next question from Ren2G. Is there going to be a use for the new Republic team under Carson Teva before the new GL comes out?
Yes, they make a really good filling under the trash can lid.
The 3 team seems like it could be very scrappy.
That's fair.
So who is it? You would take Ward
Carson.
and...
Carson plus Zeb is like, Zeb is just like a full-blown evasion tank, and we are used to negating evasion on defense when it's like, haha, it's 100% evasion season. Can you figure out this puzzle? But it's a very different thing to be able to just take it on offense and just like, yeah, I don't know, like all of your scary characters just can't hit me. And Carson does have some pretty bonkers damage in his kit from what I remember. All right, I apparently don't have him immediately available. Let's see. Yeah, it's like 600. I think it's higher than 6. It's like 700% ratio on his special or something like that. Like something obscene.
Nice.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's definitely a simple team, but I would not be shocked to see it working in some places because, like,
it's also just going to have a data run like for week 3. So,
if that happens, it happens. But just like, yeah, on raw straight fundamentals, it's like it is the opposite of a Cassian. It's just like 0 finesse, but like I do think it's probably doing some pretty good stuff.
And next 5v5, the team is probably going to be interesting with the FTC that it's going to get, but I don't expect a ton out of it unless the FTC is cracked. in 5v5. I don't expect a ton out of it.
Fair.
I think multiple characters on this team are designed to go with GL Mando, who probably comes out in the next few months. Probably, maybe even next era.
All right, I'm going to try and move briskly through these last few questions so we can get around to takeaways and final thoughts. Silent Static asks, would you guys be interested in a 5 versus 5 board or wall setup template that can be chosen pre-match, like the original OG GAC, to shake things up?
I
want
would love
more.
to have 3 to 4 different templates to choose from beforehand.
I don't have a sharp enough memory of what we're talking about.
So one of them was all the teams on top, all the fleets on the bottom. One of those was 2 fleets in front, 2 squads in front, fleet in the back, and I forget there was a couple others.
Some type of variety, rotational variety, would be appreciated, but that is way too late as a Band-Aid level fix. That's a Band-Aid level fix to the problem here, I think. Thoughts from the room on that? Anybody else? Going once, going twice. Sold. Next question from Smedge. Do you already see some OP 3 versus 3 defensive teams? Last 3 versus 3, we had Vayne, Datacron, Cody, FTC, and maybe a few others. This 3v3 seems like it will be efficiency. Look, man, I mean, you got to stay tuned for the 3 versus 3 preview episode. Now, that will be coming out, what is it? Next Friday. Patrons will have it Monday or Tuesday night at the latest. We're probably going to end up recording it this week. One of the benefits of being a patron that I guess I don't actually highlight anywhere near enough is that when we do that preview episode, I always have that section for patron questions. So if you want to have your say in that preview episode for any given season, you have to be a patron.
You also get it on like Monday as opposed to Friday. Which
we're usually recording Tuesdays. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm talking about the in between. The in between we generally record the week before.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about specifically for the in between.
Yes,
you generally get it Monday.
That
you get
is
it
fair.
like before,
if not earlier,
before you lock it. Yeah.
But Smedge is already a patron, so he already knows about it. So he's going to be participating in that episode. So, good stuff. Appreciate you, Smedge. Flairboot says, this isn't really a question. He says, but Grit plus the tank ability block Kron sounds like a 100% shutout on Ahsoka Ezra for Great Mothers, to be honest. That sounds horrific. I think you might be onto something.
Also, for the guy talking about 3v3, this upcoming season looks a lot like it's going to be more of a one-shot season, because there's a handful of teams that if you don't one-shot them, I don't know what the cleanups look like.
Okay.
So I don't know how efficient you're going to actually have to be. Sorry, what's it, Fatal?
No, in response to Flair, I feel like Grit will probably be enough to deal with a lot of Grey Mother setups. I feel like the crit avoidance might... I mean, betting against Leia has never really worked out in most cases, but I do feel like that might be worth exploring just to... I get what ability block is doing, but you might already be good without it. That at least maybe the crit avoidance might time out some Leia's.
Fair. All right. Catching up. RT ZV6YJ. Wow, that's just a fantastic name. What is Fatal the Gnome's next R10? What does this mean? Are you extraordinarily short in real life, Fatal? I guess I never thought to ask.
I am 6'4". I was 6'4" since like 8th grade. So
I never really thought about it, but I didn't pick up 4'11" dagger energy.
Eat shit and die.
Yeah, I see a fair few people who seem to think that I'm short, and it's extremely funny to me. I don't know. Look, man, you walk certain walks of life. I had football coaches get on their hands and knees begging for me to switch schools to come work with them. I didn't get to wear Heelys as a kid because my feet were too goddamn big. It's
Just Sass
traumatic.
watching it since
That
back in the
date,
day.
I missed my Heelys. Man, being
I was so
7th
fucking
grade.
jealous. I was so fucking jealous, man. I just these motherfuckers. All right. What was the question?
Fatal's over there can't even use the tech decks because his fingers are too
What
big.
is Fatal the Gnome's next Relic 10?
I have no goddamn clue. I mean, well, so, okay, I was looking because I technically have banked up enough materials that I could do like 4 or 5 R10s right
Yeah,
now.
I
but
was going to say the spirit of the question to me seems to be not something default related to the era. So something elective.
yeah, I know. Basically, what I'm saying is I had to save for the era, but I was looking at it anyway just to be like, what would I do here a couple days ago? I feel like I've done everything that's good, and I feel like I've done everything that's decent. So now it's like, am I just gonna backfill stuff that I don't think matters? Like, I guess I could do Stranger and Pirate King Hondo. I think they're bad. I am a little bit curious about like, I wonder if there's a world where if you just spec the entire Java team to be hard to kill and also make them fast as hell to just like try to rush ult charge. Like, I'm kind of curious if that's an angle, but that's A, extremely expensive, B, betting against a would-be hard counter to that is just like, that seems like a losing bet. Plus, like, Cobb is doing true damage. Afro does true damage too, but you're also kind of, I feel like Afro, you would be more interested in defense to at least some degree to try to slow her roll with like early kills before she gets that potency ramp into the big true damage. So it's like you're kind of forked in that respect. Yeah, I don't know. I like, I've done, like I said, all the R10s that I think are good. It's like, okay, I think my SLK, I think I lost a SLK versus Pirate King Hondo recently because team missed, and so like I could have done that for accuracy, but I'm not doing SLK versus Pirate King Hondo anymore. I don't know. I like, you look at my account, and my account basically speaks for all the ones that I think are good, all the ones I think that are okay, and then a few experiments. And like anything that I haven't done yet, I think is kind of shit.
I actually, I know I wasn't asked, but I actually did Malgus for 3v3.
I
So
don't hate it. I haven't done that one yet. I haven't done Gas yet. I know those are two that you've liked, and I love
did
both
Gas
those
as well.
characters. It's not that I won't do them. It's that, yeah, I'm 56 plus Relic 10s deep. So as Fatal said, I've long since had the essential, the beneficial. I am deep in the weeds of the marginal. So
Yeah, I'm like 30 deep, and I think that like, I think Gas is really good. I think people sleep on that. Outside of that, I don't necessarily recommend Malgus, but I also have like 140 of the whatever they are in the bank. So I'm like, I might as well spend some of them because I budgeted this season for top 30 and then ended up getting top 10. So I just have way more than I even budgeted for.
The tragic thing about R10 Malgus is there are some matchups for which, your idea of the matchup might be, I applied doubt, and then it turns into a bunch of fear on everybody, and then they don't get to play the video game. And then you have an R10 Malgus, and you do a dunk, and the guy you dunk just doesn't exist anymore, and that could backfire and actually be a really bad thing. Like if you're doing Malgus 2 mana against Zori, that could backfire. That can, I have almost lost entire matches because it was like, all right, Malgus Duke. All right, I don't get to play the match for 4 minutes. They're still meter trading my ass. Like
so you're talking about like the actual very rare scenario, because I would be shocked to hear that you were pressured doing Malgus Malik versus Ori. Malgus solo I could believe, but Malgus Malik, that would mean that they, dispelled and or buff immunity Malik and they just chose to wail on Malgus for a time.
I don't remember if it was solo or with Malik. Is Malgus solo thing versus Ori? Was I doing that?
It was, but there were outside cases where you could be overwhelmed. Not with Malgus Malik, as far as I knew. That was always a sure.
Yeah, we had things like Malgus Tank Cron where it was just like LOL hit auto.
It was probably It was probably a solo situation then. I didn't remember
Yeah.
Okay.
precisely.
No, fair. I was going to be shocked though to hear because that would be, wow, outrageous.
Wrecker's on my short list to do, but I'm waiting for this era and the GL to pull the trigger on any more R10s. I've wanted to do Malgus for a while just because I really like his R10 versus a couple matchups in threes.
I want to know
because-
what is it like to be on meth? Because I think that Wrecker, as far as when you're going to use this team for a high application, this is probably one of the better R10s to consider.
I don't use it for higher applications, which is why he's still on my list.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying I don't use them versus those things.
Yeah,
it's not the same thing.
I think
Is he worth an R10? Absolutely. Do I use Bad Batch 2 versus anything good? No, not really.
Mm-hmm. I think
that's just my play style. So
I think
like,
you are a bum on the inside. I know you're not an actual bum, but maybe just on the inside.
Yeah, I just don't really know how to use the team. I mean, like that's the thing. Like I don't have a great grasp on how the team functions. I find myself struggling while I'm using it. I timed out a couple times off not being able to, figure out the team functionally. So I just kind of stopped using it.
Shameful.
Unless it has a datacron, and then it just rolls it, and it doesn't matter.
All right, checking the question log. I think we are current. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, everybody, tuning in here on Twitch and YouTube. Pleasure fielding all your questions. Let's take it back around to takeaways and final thoughts. So, we have had the last hurrah of the yellow/green set, right? The Edict and Uprising. So, honestly, this Drogenkron, in a historical sense, felt kind of I won't miss this too much. The Chiricron has been, completely subsumed by the Cassian Undercover FDC. Let's see. The Grand Inquisitor Cron is going to be a big something I'm going to miss because one of the big benefits of this Grand Inquisitor level 9 is the immunity to fear, which blocks Malgus, which is a classic counter to this team. So we will miss you, Inquisitors on defense, I think. The Maricron's kind of meh. So I guess outside of these Datacron abilities, I would say the Dark Side turn meter, 25%, is going to be something I'll miss. And the rest of it I could be without. There's probably more to be gained, honestly, out of these new Rollcrons than there is from Edict and Uprising. I don't know what you guys think, though. But when we come back around to 5 versus 5, we'll have some of these interesting options from Necessary Means, and then a whole new set. I think that the power, like Fatal mentioned earlier, the power level granted to lesser teams, like non-GL teams by Datacrons, still feels pretty high. Difficult to anticipate what that is, but will also be without peace and power. And I like that. That's going to put Satil back on against Stranger. Maybe that forces us to rotate Stranger in a more Sasha, Aisha-esque fashion onto offense. Probably check your modding on your C and Bane if you've been relying on your DR FDC to shore that up. And then, everything that Fatal had talked about earlier in the episode about what does the future look like in the wake of both the ISB and the new Cassian FDC expiring. Oh, man. I will enjoy the 3, possibly 4 rounds, maybe, that I'll get next 5 versus 5. How about you, Dagger? Your takeaways and final thoughts? Everything you have to wrap up this season and where your head's at thinking about the dawn of the next 5 versus 5.
Well, you kind of hit the nail on the head for the most part, so I'll just kind of piggyback off where you left off. I'm looking forward to looking at the new Datacrons for the next era people, because you just won't be able to set a defense if Rada gets anything that's like, if they just give Rada like an LOL cron, like sure, but like if they give him anything that makes him better, like you can just go fuck yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not all doom and gloom, right? That just means
I
that we
didn't say
go
it was
back
doom
to
and gloom. I didn't say it
we
was.
just set like
They,
3+ Rada targets,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
choose
yeah,
your
yeah.
adventure.
Yeah, I'm not even arguing that. I'm just saying I'm looking forward to seeing if the New Republic does anything. I really want to see if the Imperial Remnant gets a boost because that one trooper is an Imperial Remnant guy.
Dude,
Um,
that character is insane. That new
yeah,
trooper coming, he is
yeah, that's what.
nuts.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I'm really looking forward to. I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm not just trying to shit on Rada because I actually really like Rada's character. I love the design of the character. I just don't necessarily like the design space that CG decides to use sometimes. But I don't work for them, so I can go fuck myself.
Mhm.
I do really like for next 5v5. I really look forward to just hoping that I don't fight any Erodian because I feel like if I put effort into 3v3, I'm going to get to the point where I'm fighting Erodiums. I'm like 135 right now, and like there's Erodiums around me. Like there was one in my bracket, I never fought it. I think there was one in my bracket, I never fought it. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. That and I found a really good song recently that I think everyone should go look up. It's I Am a Good Citizen. Um, and I'll pass it on to Sasha or Fatal after that.
Sounds good. Yeah, TJ did just ping us here that he has headed into the abyss of his signal area, so he can't give us his takeaways. Appreciate you though, TJ. Thank you for sticking with us as long as you could. And right over to you, Sasha Aisha. What do you have? Takeaways and final thoughts here on this 5 vs 5 season. Where's your head at when we return next time?
Hey, Tess. Sorry, I had to go MIA there for a bit. But
No.
yeah, I'm in again, just sort of riding the high of the last match that you and I had. I'm excited for the next season. The sort of quick thought and perspective I'd share on it is the new Datacron set. One thing I like about it, sort of my optimist view, is just the change in approach of having role-based crons here that don't feel as OP as the earlier problematic role-based set, and that maybe leave like a little bit of wiggle room for like creative squads that particularly in threes that kind of cross factions in ways that like really became harder and harder to do. I mean, they've understandably, as the game has grown, had to be really tight on a lot of their kit descriptions, and then sort of adding in extra barriers with the Datacron saying that like if you skip outside of your faction, try and get too creative, that you're going to lose too much goodness. And I think if you can find cool general support characters, cool general tanks to go with them in 3v3, there may be room for interesting combos. Maybe at this point, collections have just outgrown the board so much that that flexibility is doesn't have the space to breathe. But I'm optimistic that changing up the Datacron approach and maybe what this promises is different approaches they could take down the line. Could be just I don't know a cool little infusion of creativity at points. So yeah, I'm excited for the new set a bit.
Dig that. Appreciate you. All
Also,
right.
one last question you didn't answer yet.
Oh yeah, there.
Oh, NFL team. Who are you rooting for?
Niners, all Niners, man. Yeah. You're a Ravens fan, if I recall, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, cool.
Very good. All right. Last but never least, over to you, Fatal. Your takeaways and final thoughts. Wrapping up this 5 vs 5. Your thoughts on when we return next time to 5 vs 5. And of course, are you going to be active here during the off week? And if so, where can the good people find you?
Uh, yeah, I think it'll be fun. There's plenty of projects to work on. I don't know, I might mess around with it in the reader as well. Like, I don't know if ISB versus Ray in W3 can be anything either. I mean, I would have to be sure that I'm durable enough, but I can't actually think of any good reason for why that wouldn't work. Knock on wood, I'll have to stew on it a bit, but Yeah, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of new fun novel fights to chase after. Having fun with that. Discovering new fights is always fun. Yeah, I would, especially after this last round, I will have to get fully back on the uh efficiency train of figuring out, all right, heavy defense plus efficiency and what and where that looks like. I definitely kind of got lazy the last couple of weeks and started posting all the good teams on defense again, and that almost got me killed. So all the better to snap back to reality and reapply gravity. Twitch.tv slash playbook TV, YouTube. I can't talk. Twitch.tv slash playbook TV, youtube.com slash the playbook. We will see you for streams during this off week. They shot my Marvel Rivals main on live TV. And still kind of processing that. I don't know. We'll see if the new Black Widow is any fun at all. Otherwise, I'm probably just uninstalling, but I might mess around and stream that. So.
Yeah, come back and join me on Overwatch. Still playing daily.
Maybe. I don't know.
Or don't. You know, I mean, I'm going to keep playing regardless, but, you know, I mean, get on the train. The train's moving.
I just don't like... Overwatch just features so many shields and shit, and I enjoy shooting people. I don't really enjoy shooting inanimate objects.
The trials of...
At least as a Widow player.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you to all of my co-hosts here for making yourselves available for our show. Of course, if you're wanting to catch me here during the off week, I'm probably going to do at least one chill stream. Check me out on Discord for that. If you're wanting to find out when I go live, here's the link for that. And of course, if you do want to catch me live, that is going to be here on twitch.tv/Tassenix. I also simulcast from my YouTube channel, Tassenix Gaming, where if you've not been there before, check it out. A whole bunch of sword-related content you might be interested in. Of course, anything you enjoy over there, please hit like on the video. Hit subscribe to the channel to see more. Follow me on Twitch. All great ways to support the channel for absolutely free. Of course, if you want to go above and beyond the Call of Duty for the channel, there are a few ways to do so. I do have a Cash App. That is $Tassenix. I do have a PayPal, which is tassenix@gmail.com. And if you're interested in getting early access to my content, including plotting and scheming, enhanced Grand Arena scouting tools for yourself, and a few other benefits besides, you may be interested in becoming a patron. Check out patreon.com/Tassenix. For any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player, there is something there of interest for you. I've had a few of my patrons recently, follow up with me about, doing Grand Arena and mod coaching. They've really loved the experience. They wanted me to mention it more. Here it is on this one slide. So if I don't say anything, that's the only one-liner about it. If you're interested, though, reach out. You don't have to be a patron to get coaching, but you do get a discount for doing so. So, something to think about. Regardless, though, joining the Tass House costs as little as $5 a month, and you enter at the VIP access level, where you do get early access to the Plotting and Scheming show. Of course, this one week 3 episode per season, we always do live on Twitch. Everybody gets immediate access to that. But for every other episode, that's coming out for our general audience, Friday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern. Patrons get it as early as Monday or Tuesday night, depending on when we sit down to record. And of course, I will occasionally record the odd video that patrons will have at least a month ahead of the general public, especially upon request. And of course, a dedicated text and voice chat on Discord where I am usually lurking. So stop on in and say hi. Thank you so much to all of my patrons here at VIP Access. Moving on up to the $10 a month here is VIP Access Plus, where you get a bundled Patreon access to me and to your choice of either OmegaBot or Hot Utils Patreon. OmegaBot is that tool that I highlight at the start of all of my Grand Arena streams. It is the one with the graphs that give you an easily understood sense of your opponent's offensive and defensive tendencies. Anybody can use that tool for free to scout their opponent's last week of Grand Arena history, but only patrons can build out a custom report with any number of weeks. You get a downloadable HTML version of that report that Click the embedded links within, takes you right back into swugga.gg or Insight, whichever you use, with data pre sorted, just helping you further minimize and focus your scouting effort. Alternatively, you may go for the Hot Utils Patreon, aka Chili subscription, which is your number one tool for mass mod management and loadout creation. Nothing else lets you switch so easily between your Grand Arena, TB, TW, and Raid mods. You can use it like TJ and Fatal do to comprehensively remod your roster using the powerful automation feature. You can slice through hundreds of mods in seconds, help out your guild in TW, and so much more. No wrong way to go at VIP Access Plus. Thank you to all of my patrons subscribed here. And at VIP Access Premium, that is $15 a month for the Double Bot bundle. So Patreon access for me, OmegaBot, and Hot Utils all in one price. Going out and getting these two bots any other way costs the same as this triple bundle, which is why so many of my patrons say it is one of the best values in the game. Thank you so much to all of my patrons subscribed here at VIP Access Premium. I know you guys enjoy the double bots. At the top of the list, in Jester's Club Elite for my most generous patrons, the one, the only Nomad's Reaper. This madman will pop into stream from time to time and just go crazy, dropping hundreds of gift subs, thousands of biddies. Thank you so much for the incredible generosity over the years, man. Likewise to Pills, who will show up mostly towards the end of streams and just start handing out 10 gift subs here, 100 gift subs there. It's always unexpected. It's always incredible. Thank you so much, Pills. Special thanks first to the Lost Womp Rat. Thank you for all of your time and attention helping out not just only me, but all of the other Swugger content creators that rely on your back end support to keep things running smoothly. You're a hero. Also, I enjoy making our Datacron set guide videos together. So, as always, appreciate you. Then next to Mrs. T, thank you for all you do in the background, whether that's, just bring me something to eat or drink while I'm, live here on stream, or just keeping our daughter from tearing the house apart while I'm trying to be the very best like no one ever was at a phone game. I appreciate you. Thank you. And of course, to my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, as always, it is my pleasure and privilege to record our show every week. Today was no exception. You guys made yourselves available for our episode, and I appreciate it. I learn every time. Hopefully, you guys occasionally feel the same, but regardless, it is not about us. It's about everybody tuning in live today and on YouTube and Spotify and everywhere else where podcasts are found for every other episode. We are having the intended effect that we wanted to have on the Grand Arena community. Folks are letting me know on a daily basis. Oh, that's an unhappy kid wandering into the room. Yeah, that's the people are letting me know on a daily basis that they are finding elements from our conversations on our show applicable in their own Grand Arena rounds. It is helping them win the day. We are, becoming the heroes that we wanted to be for the Grand Arena community. So thank you guys, as always, for making yourselves available. Would not change a thing. All right. No, wrong button. Here we go. Back to the main scene. It is time to make ready to raid out. So, since we are live, let's send you guys on out the door. Who is live on YouTube? Anybody for our game? Doesn't look like it, guys. Doesn't look like anybody else is live right now on YouTube. Let's check over here on the Twitch side. Category, Espanol. 2 Spanish streams. Yeah, that's probably mostly not our audience, but yeah, that's gonna be the wrap up there. All right. Well, thank you all for making it here to the bitter end. Hopefully, you enjoyed yourselves. We'll see you guys here in just a few days for the season 82 3 versus 3 preview episode. And until then, it's been real. It's been awesome. Been real awesome. Take care.